finally. Okay, what I'm saying here, the industry is a group of companies or firms that are producing similar products or services. Why this is important? It is important for you to know which form of industry is your business belonging to. Because if you don't know where you belong, it can be very difficult for you to determine whether you'll be successful or whether the industry you are in will allow you to grow your business. Because you may be dealing in one thing, but you don't know exactly where it fits. So at this time, make sure that you know what is your industry so that you are able to determine how best you are going to position your business. If you are just dealing with the old business and you're trying to improve on it, it's also important to know how has that industry been operating over the time. Then the industry analysis, that is the research. The research which we are going to do or which you have already done in order to determine the standards of the industry, how it looks potentially, what opportunities are there, what barriers are there. So you are doing the research of the industry. If you are dealing with foods, it's important to know what form of food are you selling and which is more demanded. And then you look at the past. How has it been doing in relation to the different types of food providers which are in the industry? If you are dealing with arts and crafts, it's the same thing. So the analysis helps us to have a feel of how the industry look like. And that's why it is very important not only to think of what you're selling, but you also have to think about other players who are in the same sector as you are going to penetrate in. And then you are able to look at how are they doing business. And then you are able to tell how different your business is going to be. How are they selling economically? Are there other factors that you have to consider in order for you to put yourself in a better position? That is the analysis which you need to look at. You're not just looking at the product, but you also have to look at the customers, you look at the other players, you look at the barriers. So in a nutshell, these are some of the things that we have to consider when we are analyzing the industry. We have to have that description, which makes us understand better how the economy look like. And when you're looking at the economy, you can see now, like if you are dealing in fuel, you will realize that when you are analyzing the fuel industry, you will know what is making it likable or competitive, because you may realize that the prices are going high, the prices are fluctuating. Now, what is driving that? That is very, very important for you in your analysis. It's also necessary to look at the labor in terms of the production, because you need personnel, you need the cost to know what it takes to produce the goods that you're going to sell. And that's why the labor comes in to be what? An important factor. Then when it comes to foreign trade, because you're not alone in the business, you also have to look bigger, because as you realize that the industry is not just operating in Uganda. For instance, when you think of the furniture, you will realize that some furniture is made from Uganda. Other furniture may be coming from Korea, other may be coming from maybe China. So it's more a revolution of businesses which have moved from domestic to international environment. And for you, your work is to compare from the small, because you are just a beginner, it's necessary to look at it a bigger perspective, from the small companies to the medium and to the multinational companies, with a focus on either furniture, if you are dealing in finance and you are in the banking sector, you have to look at the local banks, which are locally, and then you go to the international level, and then you see what has changed over time and what are the factors. Then when it comes to the industry, that is the market leader, it's also important in your analysis to determine or identify which are the key players. For instance, if you're in the banking sector, you come to Uganda, you may be saying that your case is going to be based in Uganda. You look at the financial sector of Uganda, and you realize that there are so many small, big companies which are dealing in finance. Don't forget the mobile companies, because they are also dealing in financial transaction as a business. Don't forget the Saint agent. They are also in a financial sector. Then even don't forget the circles, because they are also in the financial sector. Because you may only think of the banks and you realize that it's only the bank which issue money, not knowing money goes from saving to utilization. And that's where you have to think of what do customers or the market use to save their money, to utilize their money, and to make money. And that's where you have to look at those small sectors to make sure that everybody dealing in money, who is a big player there. You may realize that the mobile money, when it came, it was almost taking over the banks, regardless of the traditional way of what? Of banking. Then you have to think of what are the key success factors. So, for instance, when you're looking at mobile monies, then you go to the mobile money service providers, then you go to the Saint agent. Do we have any other providers, agents there who are providers of money? Do we have them? I need to hear you. This is interactive more than the physical class. So when I ask, either you put the hand up or you say what you think. So I'm talking of money transaction, apart from the banks, apart from the Saint agent, apart from the mobile service, how different or how else are money being transacted around? What are the other forms?
Western Union.
Western Union, thank you. What else?
Sister, we have Nala Money.
We call it what?
Nala Money. Nala.
Nala Money, thank you.
And there's MoneyGram even, sister. MoneyGram.
Yes, thank you. MoneyGram. Do you have any more? Okay, let's use those ones. The good thing you have got the concept. So when we're looking at, we have the Western Union, we have the Nala Money, we have the MoneyGram, we have the Saint agent, we have the mobile, we have the PayPal. So name it. Now we are here at the what? We have moved from the key success factors. When you're looking at the key success factors and you're looking into entering into the financial business, you need to know exactly what has contributed to all this coming into the trend. Because Western Union came first, then the MoneyGram came in, then now the Nala, now we moved with mobile service, we have got money, then we shall go to PayPal, then we go. So the key success factor, which is in that industry of the financial institutions, is very, very important for you. If you are dealing in finance, to know what could you do different to make sure that this barrier of entry, you see it here, the barrier of entry, because whoever comes in may be trying to put you out of the business. So now for you who is coming in, you have to come up with something very unique. That's where innovation comes in, to close whatever those who have already started, and then you come in with something which will lock others not to enter. Because if you don't do that, it will mean those who are already in existence have already taken the market. They have already get their dominance and they're already leading. So for you to come in, much as you may be distributing and you open up a mobile money somewhere, the competition may be a little bit tight and you may not be able to grow that business as the market because it is open entry. So many may come in now realizing because how many are on mobile money? Every 5 feet you walk, somebody is sitting there giving what? Mobile money, but you wonder how much they're making and how far they can go. So those are the factors we have to think of. Think about the barriers to entry because every industry which comes, they're trying to see that they broke others so that they may capitalize on the market share. They maximize the profits. It is in your line, it is in your business to determine what are the barrier entry factors. And if they are not there, well and good, how are you going to differentiate your product? That is very key. Then when it comes to the industry size and growth, also it's very, very important. Using an example of the banking sector, you can realize that it is very big and the growth is still there, simply because people are using money as a value of transaction. Everywhere they go, they have to be to do what? To have money. But they are trying to see what you have to think of here to ask what is that driving people to use different methods of keeping or transacting money. You could hear that these days they are talking of the cardless, using cardless. There have been this debit where you go and you do whatever, but there are even where you are going to come and you don't need that card. You only need to either put your thumb or talk to the machine and then the money issues out. So that's where we are going. And as we are going there, that shows the industry is growing. The size is growing. The demand for more, better services, quality is growing. And when you are in that sector, which is the industry of finance, you need to think in that line. What is it coming and what do I have to do? Because if you think of yesterday and now you're thinking today, by the time you get into the business, already you'll be lost. So the size of the business is the industry is very, very important. If you leave now, those who are doing education, there are those who are thinking of starting schools, you can also realize that the industry of education sector is growing. And when it is growing, you need to categorize which area are you in. Are you in the elementary? Are you in the middle, lower secondary? Are you in the higher education? It is all education, but it's very key that you understand clearly in which particular area for you to know what is changing, what is growing, or what is not growing, and what are the barriers for you to be able to get in. Then when we're doing the analysis, also we look at the cycle. The cycle is like when you're looking at the child. When the child is born, there is time for maturity. And at that age of maturity, is still a baby or a child. But there is that time of emerging when they have come out of the baby level and they have now come to get exposure. That is when they are becoming into the system of education, they get experience. So the same with your business. You need to think about its life cycle. Now you have come from the idealization. Your idea is very okay. Your business plan is coming up very clearly and you're going to implement it. Now, as you implement it, how are you going to make it grow? Because as soon as you launch, the forces are already exposed. Now you need to think of the emerging. That's when things tend to interfere. What are you going to do? You have started with salad, you have started with milkshake, you have started with juice, you have started with sugar cane. Now, how long people are going to eat the sugar cane when there is fruits of bananas, when there is apple, when there is, you name it, because all what you're doing is fruits and either beverages. So you have to think of this cycle. from the launch to the growth to the expansion. Expansion is when you realize the tide has become so high, the competition, and you have to think of how different, what can you do different? There's maturity, you know, when something you come to the age, people feel like they have eaten it enough. People have realized that the designs cannot sell anymore. We need to test it better. We need to look younger. We don't need to sit in classes so many hours. Things change. That is the level when you realize it has matured, and you need to think strategically. How to remain into that business. You are not going, if you are in education, you're not going to look at medical. No, you're not providing medical services. You are providing education. And if you are providing education, you're not going to look at sports, because your niche is not sports. Your niche is education. So you have to focus on how can you continue providing education, which is competitive at this time when there are so many schools in every corner of the house that you find, to remain profitable. Then if you don't do that, that's when you're going to realize there is decline. A decline in the sector. That's when you're going to realize that now you realize that they're trying to say, no, not so many hours of teaching. There has to be some hours of activities. There has to be some times of field. There has to be something. But in that line, if that is where the trend is, you also have to be thinking of what are the competitors doing. Because if you don't think about what they're doing, you'll end up still doing the same thing when they have already left you there. That's what they're telling us here, okay? Then there is the trend. That's what I've been talking about. When you're talking about the life cycle, think about the trends. Now, if we are talking about the trends, can you help me understand what has changed over the time when you are thinking about the men wear? Men. We're not going to talk about the ladies this time. What have you seen them putting on over the years? You have not lived long, but for the years you have lived, you can talk of what you have been putting on. You can say, by the time I started going to school, this is what my dad was putting on. Now I went to second, I realized now my papa is putting on this one. So now this is what I see. Can I have an example of those areas?
Jackets.
Jackets. What do you see today and yesterday?
Today they are in some fashions of leather, jean jackets,
Okay.
bombers. But back then there would be these coats that are more like the suit coats, but in different sizes, maybe big, and small ones like that.
Good. Thank you, Stella. That's very, very good observation and right to the point. Yes, Benson.
Yes, sister. So for me, actually, I realized in trousers, whereby actually previously, so the trousers were of heavyweight, actually big size, but currently, if you are to look at the trousers, actually, it's of fitting, of which actually it's on a small size fitted, and then previously on trousers again, actually, it had actually most of the trousers previously had turn up, but currently, currently there are no turn up actually on most of the trousers, but previously the trousers always are made with turn up.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
Very good observation. Because when you realize what you are seeing, that's where the trend is. And as you have mentioned, Jackie and Benson, you need to ask yourself when you are in that kind of sector. When I say sector, I mean industry. You are trying to look at different people who are trying to do the same or similar things, targeting men. And you have to understand what is driving the change that you see. Because when you realize they used to have the suits, now the suits are going away. And though they are still there, but you can realize at a minimum. And if this is a man who used to make suits has to think how to make a suit that is of the time today to make sure it's also still relevant. And it's the same thing with the jackets. It is understanding what does the market need, what are competitor, and what is driving them for you to be able to fit in. Those are very, very good examples. And that's what brings us to the global trends. Because you realize that maybe initially we're just looking local, but now there is that exposure. There is those forces which are coming and trying to change the way people look at life, the way people look at styles. So if this is what is the selling style, you realize one comes in and it will change the way of the look of everything. So that is where from the industry trend, you go bigger. You get out of Uganda and you think of, because if you don't go global, those who are importers or who are exporters in Uganda, they let you out of the business and you have invested so much. And that's why the last one may not be the least. We have to be strategically thinking what opportunity is there. You strategically think as you see the changes of the time, what opportunity does it bring to you? Looking at what they were doing and what are they doing, that there was a time they could say, oh, those are men, those are women's clothes. But now you realize that even gender has gone out of the way. People just put on so long as they feel good, they feel happy, they feel smart. So that's where you have to be strategically thinking what opportunity is there, and then you get into that, okay? So I've taken much time on that because it is very, very important as you complete this section to see that in each of these sections, these points, you have clearly looked at them. It's not just going to be your own, you are researching. You are researching what is the trend, what is economic, what are the barriers, and then you are able to analyze and buff your what? Your section in comparison to what you're doing to show us that your business will be able to stay and be sustained, okay? So that is what it is for now. So when you're looking at the industry, as I have said, it is a market assessment tool. It is a market assessment tool which is used to show how a company compares with competitors in the same. Basically, what you're doing, you are trying to compare and contrast. And by doing so, it helps you to determine how best you can set yourself on the path to competitiveness. You are trying to compare with the large, with the small, and the multinational corporations. And you are trying to see what they do or what they anticipate to do in order for you to set goals. This one has been thinking that putting that picture will make us happy. It's a distraction, please. It's better even if you had not put it on, okay? And just put your name. It's a distraction. We don't need to see it. So in that aspect, that is what, that's what it means. You're trying to look at yourself and compare what is going on. So I need to see that as you complete your what? Your section for the industry. I have already discussed that and you had already hinted about it. It is all about, when you're looking about the industry analysis, it is about all these things. It's going through that compare and contrast, and then you may be able to gauge yourself, okay? Then, when you finish that, why do we have to do it? It gives you a feel of how you look or how the industry look. It helps you understand the current and the historical changes of factors. It even allows you to understand how the supply and the demand is for you to forecast and project well how best you are going to penetrate or price your goods, or even distribute your goods. Even how you're going to set your niche to be competitive in a particular industry, because that comes in. If you know what they do, you are better by knowing how different you are going. Don't just say it's going to be quality. Quality in which level? Be very particular, be very specific, so that we know exactly what do you mean by quality. You know, you will understand whether the saturation is open to allow entry or it is restricted. You'll be able to see whether there is growth or there is decline. For example, when you realize that into the telecommunication, what do you see over time? When we are talking about the state of the industry today in relation to its growth and market saturation, how would you analyze the telecommunication industry? What do you see? When you are born, by the time you started being in a business in the world, how was telecommunication being done? Hello? You understand what I asked? You're going to say social media. Social media is yesterday. It is also telecommunication. It's media.
People used to use phones for calls, especially.
Cell
And
phone.
also there was, yes,
Okay.
they were majorly for calls. Even though you had a deal of selling something, you would first call the person and you meet them and you sell off your commodities.
Okay.
Mm.
Thank you, Stella. Others, what did you find and how do you see it changing over time?
The airtime. We used to buy the airtime using those papers that we used to scratch. The serial numbers and load in to get our airtime. But nowadays you don't need to go to the mobile money center and buy that paper. It phased out nowadays. Our phones to log.
Very good observation, Karen, because that's where the trend comes in. There was cell phone, that was the innovation. Then there was when you were buying airtime, you had to buy cards, scratch, and then be able to load your airtime. Now everything is auto. So I appreciate that. Others, what have you observed? And as you note those changes, your question is, what is causing it? And then you're trying to say what is going to happen tomorrow. So you try to project, okay? Others. Don't just be there and look like you are logged on. Try to be relevant.
There's this, there was letters before. From letters, people moved to fax machines. From fax machines, they moved to emails, and now they are on WhatsApp and these social networks.
Thank you. Yes, what Johannes has said is very, very true. Initially, we had those letters whereby either it is a post office, the snail mail kind of communication. Then they moved from, actually, there was even telegram. Between the fax, there was a telegram or telex, which was faster than the telegram. Then the fax comes in, then the emails, then social media. So all that shows are the different mechanisms which have come over time, but it is all communication. It is all a media. And the question here we could see that the industry is growing. There is no way, and there is a saturation in the market because the way all this come, they are targeting different markets, and then you have to see that there is what? There is saturation, there is growth into the industry, then you have to see what opportunities are strategically there for you to be able, if you're in that industry, to know what is happening. Thank you very much. I think those are good observations, and they're very, very key when you are looking at the what? At the industry in relation to the growth and the market saturation. You are trying to look at the supply, you are trying to look at the demand. So once those two forces are still in what? In place, then you know competition is there, and you need to work on what is going to give you a competitive advantage. And that's when you look at the new opportunities, and then you look at the markets. Because now, if the social media has taken over, that you can even the letter which you used to send as a PDF on the email, now you can just send it on WhatsApp. You have to anticipate what is going to happen next. So that I would like to see where I'm just talking like this, and I think it is there. And automatically the other machine produces it as a hard copy. Instead of listening the voice, as you switch on, I would like to see it is typing and produces a hard copy. But I think the Wazungus are ahead of that. So we don't need to type, but we just talk. So those are the kind of things that we have to consider as we move. And as I have talked, I've been saying things which I have to consider is the cycle of the industry, which goes into 5 steps. There is that level of maturity. There is that level of growth. What is the other one? You have forgotten. Victoria, you want to tell us? Okay. So what we are saying here, when you are looking at the industry trends, you have to consider its revolution. As it changes over time, there are opportunities and there are threats. As it changes over time, there are new industries which are created within industries. And as it resolves over time or evolves over time, industries are growing, and that is where I think about the global scope. I want you to help me understand or see it in the perspective of an industry giving birth to another industry. Where do you see that happening? Which example could you give me here? I'm on this one. I'm on this one. We have already talked about the threat and the opportunities, but I want to see that as the industry evolves, changes over time, it gives birth to another industry which may come within industries. Have you seen it happen anywhere? Hello? Right, people? Benson, how can an industry give birth to another industry? It's like a mother giving birth to a child, and the child gives child to another child, and the generation goes on. But they are all from the same family. You don't have an example. You're thinking harder. Think smart. Hello?
Yes, sister, for me, I think, for example, these smartphone industries that have given birth to the formation of app development industries.
The cell phone have given birth to what?
Phone industry has led to the app development industry.
I'm trying to understand how.
Like the rise of smartphones revolution and how people communicate is a result to the generation of more apps being developed. For example, before we had maybe Facebook, now we see there is WhatsApp, there is Instagram, there is Telegram. So the smartphone industry has given birth to this app development industry, whereby it has also created another industry whereby people sit
software.
and yes.
You are right. So it is because the cell phone themselves, those are instruments. The instruments which could not just be there but they have created another industry of different features which are within the same kind of industry of the communication or even of the software, but they are all trying to do the same kind of services. It's like when you have the what? Let's say, I was going to give you an example of what? An example of what? It has gone out of my head. When you think of, for those of you who are doing milkshake, yes? When you think of the milkshake, where is the ice cream coming from? Those who enjoy yogurt. Does it come from water? Comes from milk. So it is from the dairy. Then from the dairy industry, we have come to get other beverages. That's where you're going to realize that there is a milkshake, there is ice cream, there is you name them, you know them better than me. What else do we have there? Hello, ladies. Don't be quiet. I need to know what goes in the class of the milk dairy, the dairy industry.
Butter, cheese.
Why were you then keeping quiet? Thank you. More. Now, when we come to the, I think, is this for fruits? The fruits what? The fruits, and I think the fruits has given up the beverages because you can't put the fruits which we eat as fruits as beverages. When you have the apple, you have the apple juice, not so? When you have the mango, what do you have? Apple mango juice. Then you have, so that's what we are talking about here. I want you to be thinking big. It is from one industry of something which was commonly known as a fruit or a dessert. Now it has come into a beverage. And from the beverage, you are going to have it into a different taste. And that taste, once it comes into producing similar things, it will create its own industry. When they are all coming from the same mother and same father, but they go on producing different what? Different loaves. I hope you get what I mean, okay? If you don't, ask questions, because when I ask and you keep quiet, I assume you have got it. And I also keep quiet. So this is what you have to do. Some of the questions in everything, I've already been telling you that you have to ask questions. You have to ask the right questions. When you are conducting your analysis for the industry, you are not just going to say, yes, I'm producing this, it belongs in this industry, and it's going to sell. My concern is, how did you find out? So it is very, very important to ask questions. And these are the sum of questions that we need to ask. Is the industry accessible? So when you're asking accessible, you're trying to say, is it a realistic place for a new venture to enter? So when I ask, is it a realistic place for a new venture to enter? What goes in your mind when you ask that question? Why would you ask that question? What do you want to find out from that? Karen. Yes?
Yes, sister, come again, please.
I'm saying when you have a question like number 1, which says, is the industry accessible? And what we are trying to ask here, is it really or a reality that it has a place for your new venture? By asking yourself, does it have a place for my company, for my business? What concerns do you have in mind? Lugala. Maria. People, when we're online, please talk. Don't make the class look like it's a dormant class. That's what makes online learning meaningful. And that's why they are discouraging online, because people log on and they go and do their washing, they go to drink, they go to do funny stuff. And they leave others to be active in class. So you may lose this opportunity in the future because we are all collecting data as we conduct online classes, okay? So don't just allow to just say what you have, what you think. So for Karen, I don't blame you because you have been very active, but I need others to be active also. Because if I ask this question, it's the same question you'll find tomorrow, and you start gambling. Maria, what is happening? Could you please switch off your video? Thank you. So what I'm asking here, when they ask you, is it realistic place for my new venture to enter? You remember the first points which I put up and I said, you are not just looking at your product, but you're trying to think, how is the competition? Will I be able to make money? Is there room for growth? What are the barriers that will make my business not even grow if I need to expand? How is the market? All those are the things that you are thinking about, so that you are not just thinking that I have a new product excitement. You need to go further to be able to tell on that scale what you are able to do. Then you have to ask yourself, does the industry contain markets that are ripe for my innovation? It is the same thing. You are trying to say, are they new, or how is the demand there? Are they looking, because by coming up as a new vendor or a new venture, we are expecting you're bringing something which has not been on the market or which adds value to the market. So you need to understand, will it be exciting to start a new shop here, which is not just selling apple fruits, but which is selling apple mango juice, which is producing apple salads, which is producing whatever you name it. Then you will realize that when they are asking, are they underserved? That is when we say there is scarcity. So if there is scarcity, then you realize that in that industry, in that sector, there is a room for more distribution of the goods that you're bringing on the market. It's the same thing you're going to ask there. Are there positions in the industry that avoid some of the negative attributes of the industry as a whole? So here you are trying to say, what are the barriers? What are those barriers? When you think of things which are not likable, to make you sell, you are looking at the negative attributes. You're trying to think positive by doing ABCD is going to make me what? Sell my goods. So what are the boundaries of the industry? And when you are looking at the boundaries, you are trying to look at everything it takes. You have to think of the competitors. You have to think of your market. You have to think of the global. Is it more open? Is it going to be, does it allow growth orders? You have to bring them into perspective. The structure of the industry is the same thing. How about the competitors? You have to know from the small to the largest so that you know more details than anybody there. And don't even just think of what you see, but go deep to assume what is not even directly clear or seen, the indirect factors, and then you'll be able to see how you measure. Then what are the determinants of the competition? You need to know what is driving so many rivals to get into the business. For example, when you are looking at, now they are talking about waiving off the taxes from the smartphones. What could be the major determinants that there are so many smartphones in Uganda? And if you happen to be getting into the communication and your focus is not to provide mobile services, but to provide cell phones or to provide tools, what are the determinants of that competition? Or you haven't even seen it. But in spite of that, still they are selling. Every day you wake up and you realize there's a new company opening up with the new features of the what? Of the cell phones. What are some of the determinants of those competitions? Fiona? Fiona? Eliane? Gabriela? Can you tell me? I'm on the same question. What is driving the competition in relation to the telephone companies that we see in Uganda? Jackie? If you have nothing, just say I'm present. Jackie?
Yes, sister.
What is driving the competition? Selling.
Yes, sister.
What is driving the competition of the telecommunications that we see companies in Uganda in relation to their whatever they do? Vivian?
Yes, sister.
Can you tell? Do you have a cell phone or a smartphone?
Yes, I have.
Which company?
Samsung.
Samsung. Which who is your service provider? Airtel, MTN, Tento. Who is your provider? Yes, Johnson. Johannes.
Thank you, sister. For me, I think the price competition, whereby this telecommunication sector, in particular the mobile segment, consumers are more price sensitive, so this drives competition amongst the service providers, but also technological advancements whereby the rapid advancement of technology in the telecommunication and internet services also drives the competition, but also the regulatory environment in the country also plays a role in shaping the competition in the telecommunication sector. For example, these policies such as licensing and spectrum allocation, tariff regulation also drives the competition. That's all that I had.
Thank you. He said it very clearly, and as you heard him saying, it's like, what are the major determinants of the competition? It's not just knowing the competition, it's knowing how can you come in best to beat the competition. And what he has said are the determinants. You can come in and beat the competition based on the price. You realize that these new players, they come with different prices. You can come in and get into with the rivals based on the technology. And that technology is what is giving you the getting, so that you are able to provide better or high quality features or even tools. The regulations can also bring changes, and then by the changes they set up, then they are opening up for the market to bring in new players, and that also increases the competition. So in other words, you need to understand what are the major factors which are driving the changes or the development or the innovation in the sector you are dealing with. So I'm not going to expand more, but I thank you, Johannes, for thinking smart and be able to break through, because all these questions are very, very key. You are not just going to look at them and say, I don't know. I'm like thinking, my friend, be very, very serious as you lead things. You're not going to get it. Anyway, it has to come from you to be able to defend your case and convince them, yes, this is the best price, okay? So thank you. So think of other factors. It may be now you said you have Samsung, and if you have Samsung, there could be another one who does not have Samsung and has another make. Then the question I would ask, what motivated you? What influenced your decision to buy Samsung and you don't buy the Tecno? Because also those are features that you have to put into consideration, okay? So that is very, very important. You have to ask the right questions in order to be able to come up with a better description of how your industry is. Other questions you may need to answer. What part of the industry corresponds to your firm's goals? When I say your firm's goals, I mean your company. Johannes, what business are you in? You are in the insurance
system.
Yeah, you are in the insurance what?
Yes.
So when you are looking at the insurance sector, what part of the industry corresponds to your goals? Or in other words, that are going to help you achieve your goals? Just mention one. When you look at the industry sector in Uganda or in East Africa, what is it that motivated you to get into the industry? Is what is going to help you achieve your goal, because you know by doing this and this is going to go. I realize there is this and this, and I'm doing this because the industry, this is not there, and this is going to help me achieve my goal.
For the case of Uganda, first I made research on the absence of the national health policy. Then I realized that the policy is not favoring most of youth, so that's why I came into that idea, whereby the only factor that will help me achieve my goals is offering affordable and reliable services.
Okay, thank you. Father, are you on? Oh, we lost you. I think we lost you here. I don't even see him. Okay, that was Johan. Benson, are you on?
Yes, sister, I'm on.
Can you answer this question? Does your farm or your business have what is needed to compete in that part of the industry? Help us to know what is your industry.
So, sister, me, I'm dealing in poultry farming. Yeah. So actually, like in poultry farming, like currently where I wanted actually to start my business actually in Kulu. So there's already like actually in the delivery actually of the chick actually that's the competition actually because I wanted to build in like layers whereby actually I first actually at the beginning I start by actually buying the small one, the sick actually from established sector already. But with time, I'll be the one actually producing the sick even where I'll be selling to different farmers. But now, because actually in area where I am currently, there are many actually there are many businesses that are already in place and they're already delivering the sick to different farmers. So I think that's already there's already competition in that area. Though I'll be actually dealing in that with time to come, but already there's a distance in that sector already.
Okay. So basically, you seem to have a better understanding of your sector in this aspect. So you have heard from Johannes, you have heard from Benson. How about I need a lady, Stella. Stella, is your business flexible enough to allow adjustment to your business to grow in that industry? Help us know what your business is.
Yes, sister, my business is quite flexible. Why? Because my business, I deal in juice making. So it is flexible in a way that the trends currently, people no longer want a lot of attention on the passion juice and the mango juice because every industry now can make that. But if you can bring in the beetroot, the avocado juice that is more like from vegetables, natural and nutritious to people. People nowadays want to keep good health a lot. People are on diet. Yeah, so you have to keep with the trend and give them something that satisfies their need. People no longer take juice with a lot of sugar.
So basically,
they need it clean. So my business is quite flexible in that line, in that we give people what they need exactly.
Good. So you have given it very, very full explanation, whereby as you are answering those key areas, you just have to show, based on what you have explained, people need are more health sensitive. They are more on fresh vegetable and little or no sugar. So that gives you room to provide better services in relation to what people are looking for. And that's where the adoption, flexibility, and growth in relation to the industry. And you are done. You get that? So that is just telling the story, relating to what do you see your customers or your market doing in order for you to be able to relate and provide what is justifiable. Thank you. So basically, when you're looking at the industry, you don't just end on those trends, or you don't only end on the cycle of the business or the analysis. It is also important to know the nature or the structure of the industry. And knowing the nature of the structure of the industry is going to help you also to determine how best you can get into to make sure that you are advancing. So by talking about the nature, we are basically looking at the characteristics, those which are very distinct about the, when you're talking about the industry. For example, when we say concentration, the extent to which industry sales are dominated by only a few firms. So if we are in the transportation sector, how would you see the concentration? How does that apply into the transportation sector? Or if you don't bring the transportation, you can think of any other industry and you see where is the concentration in relation to the sales. They say the concentration based or dominated by only a few. This is it. When you use the concentration, it has to far a few. You can bring it to the education, you can put it in the transport, you can put it in any area. So what I need are examples here. Where could we apply concentration?
Marketing.
What do you mean by marketing? Telemarketing? Elaborate, please.
Marketing in terms of social media, and also because people use radio adverts, TV advertising, because sales concentrate more on you selling, and the way to sell is letting people know about your commodity.
Mm-hmm.
And nowadays things are going digital too much that a transaction can be made online without any physical meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, so marketing on social medias. Literally, when you're talking about sales, you have to talk about marketing first. Because
so
you
I understand it very clear. Now, I think you have the point very clear, the marketing sector, because I have given us an example. Initially, people could market using different channels, the radio, the television, the billboard, the public events. But now you realize that the social media has taken over the marketing sector, and is driving the trend for people to go for e-business instead of all these other analog. Now it's more or less the e-marketing business, which is the digital marketing. So if the trend is going to the digital marketing, now you need to know exactly why is it the concentration which is driving the more sales as compared to others. And if you're looking at getting there, that is very, very key, because digital marketing has taken over as far as the traditional methods of publicity. Then when it comes to economies of scale, what they're telling us here, savings firms within an industry achieve due to increased volume. Also, when you're talking about increased volume, also we are talking about sales. So you have to think of where's the increase in the volume, which is driving the sector. That is also a factor to consider as an attribute for the characteristics of the industry, which is what? Which is growing and which is changing. You have to talk about the product differentiation, the extent to which customers perceive products of firms in industry as different. That's also a factor you have to consider, because whether it is fashions, whether it is transport, whether it is food, whether it is a manufacturer, differentiation is key. To make sure to drive the sales, the value has to come into the product differentiation. Because if it is concentrated, well and good. But if you are building based on the differentiating as your niche, then that will help you to do what? To sell, to get volumes in regard to sales and profits. Then also, any industry can be identified based on the barrier to entry. Obstacles a firm must overcome to enter an industry. Do you think it is very easy? We are talking of transportation, but do you think it is very easy to enter the air form of transportation? It is all transportation. We have land, we have air, we have we call it water, we call it what?
We call it water.
We call it water. So when you think of water, land, and air, it is all transport, and it is all industry of transport. Which is more when it comes to the barrier of entry? Nankizi Marian. Marian. Nkinzi Marian, watch your behavior. In class, you are dormant. Online, you are disturbing. That's not good professionalism. If you are discussing family affairs, log off. Yeah, it can be tough, and I will shame you. Because you don't want to shame Uganda matters. I don't need to see your video. All right, go ahead. I need to understand where could the barrier of entry be more tight when we are talking about water, land, and air. Or they are all the same. Hello? Do you think entering the water, the land, and the air are the same as it is entering the food beverage, Coca-Cola, Pepsi-Cola, and what is the other one? Yeah, I don't even see it anymore. There was that kind of drink which had come on the market. I think it exited. So which of these three do you think is more complicated?
No.
Yes, please.
Yes, sister. So for me, I think actually air transport would be actually more complicated because it would actually require a lot of administration to go through in order for you actually to start it actually to operate. But unlike road transport, whereby it would not actually require a lot of administration, once actually like when you have new transport means, so you just register actually in just a small places. So that is all. Then you start to operate immediately. Than actually air transport, which could be very complicated, I think.
Okay. Thank you, Benson. So basically what they're telling us here is very, very necessary, important for you to determine before you get into an industry, you have to think of these factors. Because when you're looking, it is all transportation, you can be able to find there is opportunity, but which is going to be more open or more easier for you, maybe the one where you are going to maximize when it comes to the sales. If you are not going to be able to grow your business there, maximize the sales, it's not worthy even trying, unless if you're going to be a supplier of the tools or equipments that they use, and then you consider yourself as a partner in those businesses. Okay. So these are techniques that you need to look at when you are trying to analyze the industry. You need to assess the industry based on attractiveness. And when you're looking at attractiveness, you have to think about its level of the competition. You have to think about what is the sales going. You have to think about the demand and the supply which is there. So all those factors are key. You also need to study the environmental and the business trends as we have been discussing. You also need to use the 5 competitive forces. This is Porter, we are going to look at it, okay? So this is also necessary for you so that as you study the environment, you are looking at the economic trends, you're looking at the social, technological advances, and the political and the regulation changes. That's where we were asking when you are dealing with transportation, the water may not necessarily be so much concentrated, but it may also require some standards in order for you to be able to operate efficiently. The land, it may be more open for anybody who wants to get in and do business, but the air may be a little bit restricted because of the nature of the industry in regards to the regulations and licenses and the governance of that sector. So that's what they're telling us, to be very clear of how the sector looks. You have to consider the business trends. That is when you are trying to see the businesses which have been already there. As you realize, when it comes to the land, we may have those buses which started, but actually, I remember there was a time of transport in Kenya. We had Akamba. Akamba is now history. I think now, I don't know where there is, which buses are going there. So that's what they are trying to see. Example of how much they're making the profits and whether those profits are increasing or falling. You have to think about that. I think for the buses which have taken long, now we have the global, I don't know whether the YY has taken longer. I don't know other buses, you know them better. Then when it comes to the air, I think the Uganda Airline, it comes and goes. It is on and off. Then there are other companies which are providing air service in Uganda. So this kind of profit margin is very, very key because some sectors you'll find they are multinational companies and may be hard for you. So that's where the innovation comes in. What innovation are you bringing, or what are challenges that are there for you to be able, all that is about asking questions to see what trends or what changes have happened over the time, okay? Types of industries. We have to look at industry as we may look at the different types of foods. There are those which are emerging industries. Why they are called to be emerging, they have standard operating procedures and they have to be yet developed. So they are in existence, but they have to be developed. That creates an advantage for newcomers, whereby opportunity, you can come in so long as you are able to set something which is within the acceptable standards, but you add value. It's like when you realize the transport, it moved from the MICA, it went to the special hire, it went to the border special or border, it went to tukutuku. There was a time of border with umbrellas for the seasons, then the tukutuku. Now I don't know what is the nature of the transport which is going to come with time. I think people are still thinking. So those are the emerging. With time, things change. Then there are those which are fragmented and they are characterized by a large number of farms of approximately equal sizes. So more or less, they are the same and they are almost providing the same. You can look at this one when you're looking at the education sector. Even when you come to the medical, I think we have those large number of farms whereby there are small medicals, there are small sectors which are coming, but they are more or less into the same thing. So this is also another type. So what is important for us here is to know that industries can be in different types. There are those which are mature I've told you they happen to be, but with time, when they come to the mature level, the demand may change, the population may change, the times of the test may change, and the opportunity you have is either to innovate or to provide services differently so that you are able to continue being relevant in that sector. Then there are those which are declining. So I want you to be seeing outside there the different industries that we have. And then you realize those which are declining, they may have been there, but the demand for their products are no longer in the market. And what could cause that? Either the population, when we're talking about the market share, has died out. If not that, it could happen maybe the regulations changed and they had to get rid of that kind of a service or product. Or if not, maybe the raw materials also became so expensive and they could not be able to continue producing the same kind. So there could be different other factors. So why we're talking about the different types of industries, for you to know before you go into business, to know how your industry stands to ensure that you're going to be able to compete and sustain. There is those global. The global, those are related with multi-sector. They can be multi-domestic or globally strategically aligned, okay? So what you need to know, there are different types of industries. What do you know about Porter's model? Help me understand what you know about this guy. When you look at it, what comes to your mind? I need to hear new voices. When you look at Porter's model, what do you understand from it? Why do you have to talk about him? Andrew. Andrew?
Yes, sister.
Do you see that that conceptual framework of Porter's model?
Yeah.
What does it tell you?
Sister, I have no idea.
You have no idea. So whom do you think has an idea? Who can tell us? Karen?
Daisy.
Daisy? Daisy, tell us. Daisy? Unmute and tell us. Daisy has no clue. Who has a clue? Just guess by looking at it. What does it tell you? We are talking about industry. And why do you have all those heads there? When you think about a slate of new entrants, what does that tell you? How about the substitutes? What do you know about substitutes?
Competition.
Competition. They are competing for what?
For customers.
For customers. Why?
For profits. For more profits.
What does the word substitute tell us?
Similar goods to the ones we are producing.
Can you give an example in that area, please? Same thing which could be in that category of substitute.
substitute.
And you are looking at the customer's eye.
Like, for example, if you're looking at these telecom companies, we have Airtel. So Airtel is good for MTN. So it stands to be a threat to MTN due to the competition it poses.
Keep going.
Yes.
You have already looked at this one, threat of new entrants, and you have already given us the definition by giving an example of Airtel and MTN. Thank you. Keep going.
So these substitutes are also one of the determinants that drive competition in an industry. Yes, sister, that's what I know for now.
Good for you. Good for you. So when you talk about the substitutes, give an example. Still, if you are using Airtel and MTN, they are substitutes of each other. Because if one does not Airtel, the person will stand to say, I need a telephone which can help me to communicate, to send SMS, or even to do WhatsApp. That is basically what they are looking for. And if you either go for Airtel, you can do the same thing. If you go to MTN, you can do the same thing. And by doing so, what you are putting in perspective here is the price, because they all have the same, they serve the same features. The benefit may be, so the determining factor here could be the price. You get that? And because of the price, that's when you prefer, instead of going for MTN, let me go for Airtel because it is a little bit what? Cheaper. If it is food you are looking at, you are looking for protein. So if you are looking for protein, you will say, no, I'm not going to eat meat. There is meat, yet we wanted the meat for Easter. There is a chicken, yes, but also there is a goat, okay? No, if not goat, even you have a rabbit here, you get? Okay, if we don't have the rabbit, maybe also there is a fish. So all those are kind of substitutes of each other. You are trying to eat something which will make your day special. And as you look at these different elements, you have the factor is to eat something special, to have a special meal. When you go for meat, you realize that it is 15,000. Oh, it's very expensive. When you go for chicken, you realize it is at 20,000. Oh my goodness, that's a little bit higher. Then when you go to goat, you realize that it is 24,000. Then you say, oh my goodness. Then you look at the rabbit. They are going to tell you, well, it is maybe a kilo is going to be at 166,000. Then you come to the fish. They're just going to say, you can have it at what? At 15,000. So looking at the prices will help you to make a decision, but you will end up satisfying the goal that you had, is to eat something special, and that is, it substitutes or it stands in for, you forego this, and then you're able to buy the other, and your desire has been satisfied. You put that in meat, or you can put that into cereal. Not peas, no. Not beans, no. Then what? Nuts. Not nuts, no. Then what? You go on like that. So those are the kind of factors those in the industry or the entrepreneurs have to look at in relation when they're trying to consider how to attract the customers and be able to penetrate the market. When it comes to the suppliers, you are considering the bargaining power of the suppliers. Because for the supplier, their key is to ensure that can they limit other suppliers and be able to maximize by making more sales. And what they will do, if you are the only one who is selling, maybe because you are the only one supplying, I don't know what students like most. Either they like chips and chaps, or they like yogurt, or they like whatever. If that supplier is the only one, he has the power to set the price in compared to others because he has it as is what? as his competition. The power of the competition is limited, and the customers don't have the power to negotiate more simply because they have no other suppliers, they are limited. Then that's where the bargaining power of the supplier comes in here. Then when it comes to the bargaining power of the buyers, that's when you are going to move down to the TC and you realize that almost every 2 feet you walk, there is nyama chomo. There is someone selling chicken, chips. What else do they sell there? I don't think they sell. Do they sell even they sell pork chop, they sell chips, they sell chicken, they sell I'm forgetting this name of the thing which they put on the sticks actually. So those kind of things, if there are so many people who are selling those kind of things, it puts you, the buyer, into the position to have the power, because every store you move, somebody is saying, yeah, I'm selling chips at 25. I'm selling chips at 25. Then you say, no, I only have 2,000. I don't have 2,500. Can't you give me? And if they don't give you, you move to another one, or you put it on the sweet bananas. If this one does not give you, there are so many people who are selling. So because the demand is there and the supply may be also higher, you have the power to negotiate, and that puts you in the setting the price as compared to the supplier. Then when it comes to the new entrants of the business, you are trying to realize that those who are already established in the business, they try to put control. Either they can provide high quality to make sure that you can't beat them because they are the managers of the market, or they'll try to provide a lower price. So long as for them they have already made profit, they'll put the price lower. And when they put the price lower, for you who is a new person, by the time you come to produce, you can't make even sales. You can't even make any profit, any margin. Then you realize that, well, this limits how many can come in. So for the threat of the new entrants, those who are already in the business, they'll find a way how to limit new ones by either lowering the price or increasing the quality so that they are able to maintain their customers. Then when it comes to the rival among existing caste farms, also it's the same kind of force, which you have to think how best, if you are already the existing, you are going to be able to compete among yourselves. And that's where you're going to realize that those who are small may sometimes come out, exit. The big corporations can put the prices lower. That's when we have the price conflicts. When the demand or the supply, whatever, is too high, it is like everybody is selling bananas, but there are those who have big plantations. For you only have a few, the price will go down. And as it goes down, you have put in a lot of investment, you have put in a lot of resources to make your bananas come true. You realize that by the time you come to the market, the price has gone down. Then you'll be discouraged and you say, what? Well, much as I've been in agriculture, I don't think I can continue being in agriculture, because you can't afford when the prices fall and you cannot make any more money. So this kind of model helps us to understand how the market works and be able to come in very, very, very carefully by analyzing those five key elements. We don't only look at your business, but you have to look at what? To look at these ones to be able to set yourself apart, okay? So that's what you need to know by coming in. What is going to be your problem? Is it going to be the new? If it is not the new, is it going the power of the supplier, because you have to get raw materials very expensive? If it is not, Is it going to be what? So that those are very important factors for you to know how best you are prepared to set your price. That is the key, because we are looking at break even, we are looking at sustenance, and we are looking at profit maximization in relation to your return on investment. So that's where this model comes in. So I may not go much into explaining much of it, but the other slides which are following, they discuss each and every point or element on Porter's model and what you have to do for you to be able to know what you need to do. Because if it's a set of new entrants, you need to think how to stop them. If you are the first, to make sure that you don't lose what? The profits. All these other slides are talking about things that you need to do to make sure that when it is this, you talk about the depreciation, either the capital investment. For the big companies, this is not an issue, but the small companies, it's going to be a big what? A big problem. Then when it comes to distribution channels, it may be also another case. When you're thinking about new companies, when it comes to the government, it is also another case. So the licenses may change, the regulations may change. So this helps you to understand better what would you do, ensure that what you are able to balance the scale and be able to make what? To make profits. I'll share this with you so that you understand them very, very clearly. They're very, very important as far as that, okay? As far as your analysis concerned. This is a very important slide for you to know. When we are talking about an analysis of the industry, sometimes we are just focusing on what we see and we ignore the most important things. So don't just look at the competitor on the face value and you think what you see is what is it all. No. Make sure that as you're looking at the competitor in relation to what you do, think of the unknown. Don't just look at what you see. Think of the unknown, because there are so many things they may be doing which you may not be able to understand. And that's when you can ethically try to shadow or to find out how best. You can even buy their product, because by buying their product, you will test it and you get to know what makes it unique. You can even talk to them as somebody who wants to look like that is acceptable, admiring what they do. So that is one way. Don't just focus on what you see. Go deep inside to assume how they are behaving and how they behave for you to be able to analyze it very, very clearly. Look at the signals, the signs, because if you are not observing it very clearly, also that can be very, very difficult. Understand the resources they're using, the market, how do they position themselves? What strategies are they using so that you are able to relate and redesign or adjust your strategies? And also assuming the constraints, because if you don't know the challenges they are going through, you may not know what are the roadblocks there. So be open to learn from them and to be able to understand from their mistakes for you to be able to set your business clearly as the business goes on. So basically, in summary, when we are talking about the industry analysis, it is all about assessing the general industry environment in which you are going to operate and compete. And as you do that, you are analyzing the market as well. You are trying to identify and quantify the market and the customers that you will be targeting in relation to the sales that you are aiming at. And as you do that, you are trying to analyze the competition which is a competitive analysis, to ensure that you understand your competitors very clearly and you determine their strengths and weaknesses and come up with a strategy in relation to tap into the opportunities which are available and be able to set your business clearly or strategically, competitively. And you set your competitive edge or competitive advantage based on what differentiates you in relation when you're looking at the industry cycle. Questions? Questions? Hello? Do you have any questions, any comments? So what have you got from this class? Let me hear your take home. That I know you have been present. Abraham, what is your take home? Victoria, what is your take home?
Yes, sister. You have talked about the bargaining power of suppliers and bargaining power of the customers. For me, what I've got is about the bargaining power of suppliers. When it's only maybe one person who is supplying, who is selling that particular thing, the customer has no right to bargain, so he or she just buys whatever amount they tell him or her and then take that thing. But if there are many people, if there are many suppliers, now for example, those selling the chips, but someone can buy and then if someone is not giving him or her what that person wants, then has another option, can go to that person.
Excellent. Very clear in your own way with a good example. You have got the concept, and please go and enhance yourself on that. Okay, thank you. Okay, can we hear from Ochen Benson? Ariane?
Good afternoon, members.
Good afternoon.
Personally, I have that under industry analysis, like when there is rivalry among existing competitors, there are certain factors that affect these competitors. Usually, it is the market and also the different products. So, if you're among these competitors, when you look at those aspects, you're supposed to find all means of improving your product that you can outpace all of them, such that you can outpace all of them, you can compete over them.
Thank you. Very good. Well stated and very clear. That's very good. I like it when you say differentiation. That's very key. Can we hear from Fiona?
Thank you. Thank you.
Fiona?
Yes, sister, I'm on, but network is a bit disturbing me.
You talk, I can hear you. What is your take home?
What I got in the industry analysis Industry analysis helps a business understand market conditions. Like it helps us to focus on the demand and the supply of our products.
Okay. Thank you. There's that person called iPhone. Please name your system, name your gadget, okay? Because your attendance is important. Can we hear from Selin?
Yes, sister. So for me under industry analysis.
Your volume is very low.
Under the industry analysis, what I've understood is like it can help you to assess your competitive landscape and how you can position your business.
Too soft. I'm pulling my ears, but I hear you going lower again. Yet you have a good point.
Then it can also, I've understood that it can help you to develop a better and effective marketing and business strategy. Then it also helps you to allocate your resources and invest. You invest in a business efficiently because you'll understand the differences in the industry and whatever.
Thank you. Johannes.
Yes.
Your take home.
Can you hear me? Yes, to my side, I think the importances of market assessment, of the industry assessment, whereby the industry assessment is where we understand the marketing dynamics, the competitive landscape. It's where we can assess the risk on the investment where we want to invest on, and also we can understand more on the market segmentation, whereby it's where we understand the needs and specification of the customers, their preferences and customer segments. And also under industry analysis, we can also advocate for strategic planning on the business.
Thank you. Can I hear from Vivian? Vivian. What is your take home?
Sister, I've learned how to identify our competitors. Like for example, if I'm dealing in fruits and we are two people dealing in fruits, I can easily look at the competitive advantage he or she is using. Then I also apply it to get more customers.
Anything more? I like it.
That's it.
That's it. For example, what are you going to do to get your competitive advantage? What will be your competitive advantage in relation to what you're producing? Kizito. Kevin.
Yes, sister. What I have learned today is about that industries can give birth to others. Like for example, an industry can manufacture a product which can be used as a raw material to other industries.
And
and both industries are able to operate like they can operate besides each other. They can help each other to grow. Yeah.
Which area are you focusing on when you say they can help each other, they can do whatever? What are you specifically talking about?
Yeah, sister, you talked about, like, used an example of the milkshake. They can get the milk from the poultry farm, and then the milk from the poultry farm can be used again by other industries to make other products.
So in other words, what you're trying to talk about here, it is an industry producing another industry within industry, okay? You're talking about the evolution of industry.
Yes.
Make sure you get that very, very clear.
Yes.
Because if you just say one helping another, it will be like you are talking about companies which are competing, helping another. And that may confuse when you realize like they are just working homogeneously. There is no clear purpose as to why they are in business, okay? So get that very, very clear.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, can we hear from Victoria?
Yes, sister.
What is your take home?
Another take home, actually, it's about what Kelvin has been talking about, where we talked about the industries creating demand for other industries. I don't know whether have talked about it very well. Now, for example, for me, I can see the coffee industry, whereby the coffee industry, here I'm seeing the farmers who need the fertilizers, the pesticides in growing the coffee. And then after that, this coffee is demanded by other industries, those which process it. Then after, I'm seeing now these people who do what, who make these coffee cups, now again creating demand for those things, then also transporting them. So here I'm seeing different industries intervening in. Yes.
Very good example. I think you have it very clear. They create demand and supply of, and that brings in innovation. Okay, so this is a revolution which brings in innovation, which innovation creates opportunities for global, and that's where global industry comes in. Thank you. Can we hear from Emmanuel Lugal?
Yeah, thank you, sister. Basically, from the industry analysis, I've understood that it enables us to identify opportunities and threats of our businesses. Like through this, we are able to understand and analyze our future prospects, competitive forces, and also spot potential opportunities to capitalize. Yeah.
Thank you. Can I hear from Oroin? Michael?
Yes, sister. My understanding in regard to resource analysis, my takeoff is about the growth trends in resource industry. What I've understood here is what you need to know about the industrial trends, but you need to think not only in the country, but you need to think globally. Oh, the industry, is it declining or growing? Like in respect to Uganda, I personally, my business is about the piggery, and I do reflect that, according to the statistics of, because my industry belongs to livestock and agricultural industry, and according to that statistics, I've realized that there has been an increasing growth in piggery businesses in Uganda. So that's why even I thought it was that I have to at least engage myself in this business because I've seen if the business is growing, if it's not growing, if it is declining, what could be the factors that lead, what could be the trends in either growing or declining of these businesses? That's according to my take in industrial trends.
Good, very good, because you have properly put it in the cycle form to see how you can retain your position in the industry. That is very, very important in looking at the trends. How about Peter? Peter Maliha? Peter,
It is
are you there?
Mulib, so it's- Yes,
Mali.
I'm there.
Sorry, thank you. That is your take home.
So, sister, my take home is as an industry, you should have a future perspectives. How? By understanding your customer need, the quantifiers of your market, and all that. And also, as an industry, you should be thinking about creating a new things. It is not like you are creating. It is not like because you are dealing in phones today. After 10 years, after 15 years, you will be still in. You will still in the phones. No, maybe you have to segment your business, to diversify your business. Yeah, that is it, sister.
Good. So in other words, you have given us to have a strategic eye on the opportunities available, looking at the barriers, and then you're trying to see there could be rivals coming, but strategically you are getting yourself, where could you go next? Nachigos, did I call you?
Not yet, sister, I haven't.
Do you have something?
Yes, sister, I have something. What I've understood from the industry analysis is basically that it gives us an overview, like of which kind of industry, to have a clear sight of which industry to go in as we analyze. So as you were talking about the industry analysis, you first talked about the entry barriers. Now these entry barriers, like that bar us from entering, then me as the person who is trying to enter this industry, I'm supposed to look at what different thing I'm going to do, which is different from the firms that are already in this particular industry, which will enable to make my product different from the firms of this industry. Then also there are other questions that you gave us. There's a question that you asked Johannes, what inspired him to join that insurance industry? Then for me, mine is basically the baking industry. I'll give for mine. What inspired me in this industry is that we deal with food basically. And food is what people need to go on like each and every day. Realizing the many bakeries that are within this industry, but still all of them have their given number of customers, meaning that food is a basic need. So obviously these products can't stay with you, like they will be moving, like since people need them for their day-to-day lives. So that's what inspired me to also join this industry, since it looked profitable to me.
So basically she has told us about the attributes which characterizes the industry, and she has highlighted the differentiation. And when you think of the differentiation, that's where the competitive advantage comes in, and that's where the marketing niche comes in. You have that right, okay? So can you hear from Stella? Stella, are you still there?
Yes, sister, I am.
Okay.
Well, sister, in telling you about the industry analysis, we are to identify each of us the different businesses we are setting up, the different industries we fall under. And since we are new entrants into that industry, we find out what are the challenges that are there in the already existing business people among the industry, so that we can get solutions to those problems, so that we can sustain our positions in those industries.
So in other words, you are doing an analysis, trying to identify what are the issues that the existing companies are facing for you to learn from them and be able to do better. That is, we are talking about the SWOT analysis, because I didn't hint on that. You can use the SWOT analysis. You can use the PEST analysis. There is a third one. I have forgotten it. So those can help you to identify the challenges or the issues. Okay, thank you. Maria. Just. Maria, are you there? If she's still thinking, can you hear from Flavia Namiar? Flavia.
Yes, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Sister. Yes, sister, I'm around.
Okay,
No, for me, what I've understood that when we are carrying out our...
from Flavia first, then you come in, okay? Flavia, go.
For me, what I've understood when you're carrying out your industry analysis, you should, according to here, the competitors should not look to those people who are producing the similar product. Let's say like
You're breaking.
Should not look at those people competitors. Should also look at those people who cakes. They are also your competitors of cakes. Those of mandas, they are also to them, and see how they how they produce their products, and then you can also get in touch with them and see how you can improve, because and see how you can improve your product.
Cool.
That's what I have.
Thank you. Basically, what Flavia has told us is the fear of substitutes. She has clearly put it right. Don't just look at those who are doing exactly what you're doing. And she gave us like the chapatis or the Rolex, but also look at those who are doing more or less things which are in the line to satisfy the demand or the problem of what the customers are trying to resolve. And that is where the substitutes come in. It is very, very important to make sure that what would they take if they don't take the chapati. They take the donut, they will take the cookie, they will take the daddies, they will take this, and that will give you a better understanding of the challenge you have to set yourself clearly for the differentiation. Thank you very much. Yes, Maria, please. If Maria is not in, we have Andrew.
Yes, sister. Me understood that part of the driving force of competition. Yeah, you gave an example of the phone industry, where you talked about the Samsung, Tecno, and iPhone, how they price their product. Yeah, you talked about the price and quality, which are the main driving force of competition. Yeah.
So in other words, what you are trying to tell us are the power of the rivals. Because as you could realize that the competition, there are those who are almost big and they're dealing the same products. They're selling similar same products, but they're rivals in the way that they can control the new entries by what they do. Because they can either increase the quality and the quality may not allow the new entrants to come in. They can either increase the price in relation to the nature of the quality they are providing, and that can be a factor to do what? To discourage others to come in. So if that is the industry you're trying to get in, know what is going to differentiate you, because you are doing with big multinational corporations. So that's the example he has given us in relation to Porter's model, and it is in line with differentiation. Thank you. Who else? Do we have Unkinzi? She left. Daisy? Daisy, you left? Okay. I understand. The data can go fast, okay? So I think, whom haven't I given the chance? Did I miss someone? Because it can happen what you said is what you write on the paper next week. Has everybody got a chance, apart from those who opted out and they didn't say anything? All right. So I think I have a better feel that you have been listening and you have got the concept very, very clearly, and you are going to progress well working on completing this section of your business plan. Please make sure that you do the research clearly. I may send you a sample of the industry analysis, but this does not mean that you have to copy. You only need to see how it has been tailored, how it is written. But if you have already written you have already completed your section, you just need to see, have I covered everything? I'm going also to share these slides with you for you to ensure that you really understand what it means to complete the industry analysis. I thank you so much for being present today and being active. You have done a very good job for being active and attentive. So